Okay, sometimes there are just no words to describe how awful I look. Good morning. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? So why is it so hard to admit that the party is finally over? Girl, you got school in the morning. Get your ass in the car. It is morning. You know, I'm on a roll now. Would you, hypothetical question, hypothetical scenario, would you take your B-reel whilst like shagging someone? Because I would, but when you say that out loud, people judge you. Let them stare. You're obsessed with me and I love it. Hello, I am freshly out of this funk that I was in, and I was in that funk for what felt like, I don't know, an eternity. It felt very long. So a while ago, someone said on one of my vlogs that I should do like an agony aunt section, like where I give advice. And here's the thing, right? Viewer discretion. Just take it with a pinch of salt, because look at the colossal flop, which is my life, and then choose whether you're going to take my advice or not. If you do, I'll be honoured. You know, because I do like to give out my 2 pence, which is more than I have in my savings account. But I do like to give out my opinion. I'm very opinionated, you know, I like to, I don't hold back, do you know what I mean? But I thought it'd be a fun idea. Plus, I'm out of this funk now, and I was going to do it whilst I was in the funk, but I thought, who the fuck is going to take advice from a very, very depressed girl? You are. So, it is only 10 o'clock. I thought today I'd do this whilst I get ready. I'm going to Mamma Mia the party today. I am elated. I'm so excited. We're going today. So I've started getting ready at 10:30. We don't leave till 4:30. But you know what? I am always running late. So I thought, you know, best get started early. And I thought, why not just sit down? I'm fresh out the funk. You know, when it's this fresh, there is chance that I could just be transported back into it at any given moment. But I'm not thinking like that, because if I do, I will die. And I'm not even joking. You know, it's sort of like when you get your cast taken off for the first time after you broke a bone. And I've never broken a bone. I've cracked my head open. Shit was like an egg. That cracked like crazy. But I've never broken a bone. Fun fact. So yeah, I'm now feeling a lot more, you know, I was gonna say stable. Wouldn't use that word. But I'm feeling a lot better. I'm feeling a lot more like, you know what I mean? So I thought, here we go, best time to start giving out some advice. The moment that I don't feel completely like I want to die, I'm going to tell other people how to not feel like that. Also, just quick disclaimer, I will just say what I think. What to do when your best friend ignores your birthday because she's too busy, but will spend a week with your other friend, plus being rude and ignoring everything you do. What you do in that situation is you stop being friends with them. Now, I know that might sound a bit drastic, but like, who genuinely has time for fake friends? Ouch! Fuck. You just stop being friends with them. You just stop being friends with them, because listen, right, I've had my first of all, find out if she likes tomatoes, because I bet she doesn't. But if you think about it in the long run, like, this is how I think of things, right? If I was to die tomorrow, I would have good friends coming to my funeral. Like, I'm very lucky, I think. Now I've gone through, don't get me wrong, I was in the trenches for a bit with my friends because they were just shit. They were fucking awful, and they all didn't like tomatoes, so it says a lot, doesn't it? But like, now I've got like a solid friend group. Like all my closest friends are like, so they're what friends should be. They look out for you, they support you. Like Grace, you guys know Grace. She is like the most supportive friend. Everything I do, she like will say how proud she is of me. She sent me a card when I hit 12,000 followers on TikTok. She pops up to every story. Like the other day I was having a breakdown on my private story. She popped up to every single post to make sure I was alright. She calls me on her breaks at lunch. This girl works for the NHS and she's calling me on her lunches. She's not just saving other people's lives, she's saving mine. So, you know, we're going on holiday together for my birthday. She is what a friend should be. So if it's not giving grace, it's not giving. And you shouldn't have to deal with someone who's going to be a cunt. Like, they don't deserve that. Just know, if she's not even going to bother for your birthday and then ignoring you, fuck that. Just fuck her off. She does not deserve you. I'm at a point now where I've had so many shit friends in the past during school, because, you know, British secondary schools, that if they're not giving to the friendship what, like, the bare minimum, which is like not ignoring you, then they don't fucking deserve your friendship. Bin them off. Honestly, that is my best advice, because you don't want to look back and be like, why the fuck did I spend so much time like trying? No way. Friendships, relationships, everything is a fucking two-way road, and no. Okay, conclusion, bin them off. They don't deserve you, honestly. I'm not the sort of person to like be confrontational either. Is that surprising? But like if someone's pissed me off, I'll just not talk to them, because someone once told me that I was the meanest person that they know when I'm in a bad mood. So take that how you will. I just don't talk to them. And if you want to talk to them and be like, look, you've pissed me off, do it. But I'm the sort of person that would just be like, why should I bother with you? Why should I bother to communicate with you if you're not even going to bother to wish me a happy birthday? No, bin them off. I've really burnt my finger already, and I'm only on the first half of my hair. It's a good sign, isn't it? Okay, next one. My ex moved on. She looks like a B-Tech me, classic. And he broke up to be single 9 months ago. Is she a rebound? How do I deal with knowing my ex is alive? Is my ask. I wish mine wasn't. Yeah, I can relate to that. Here's the thing, right? So, not to be a cunt, but boys are very self-absorbed. Most boys, you know, not all boys, but like most men, they're very self-absorbed. They look out for themselves. They think with their dicks, they don't think with their head. Like, and they will go for something that's like familiar. So like if you've had an ex that breaks up with you and then goes for someone that looks just like you, it's because it's familiar. Whereas if they go for something that's completely different, it's because they just can't handle it. Most boys are very simple-minded, and that's not me being a bitch at all. That's just speaking from my own experience. Do you know what I mean? Like exes that I've had that move on really quickly, it's just because they're thinking with their dick. They're not thinking with their head. It's not like, oh, I'm in love with this girl and I see a future with her. It's like, oh, I've been hurt, let me see what I can do about it. So yeah, she probably is a rebound. You know, that's what a lot of boys do. As soon as they're single, they go sleep about again until they find someone that they're like, oh, you know what, I want to shag you more than once. Do you know what I mean? Like, genuinely think that's how boys' heads work. No, again, the thing is, I'll say this and then people are like, no, obviously not all boys are like that. The boys I've had encounters with, you know, they're not good. Like, and the whole knowing that your ex is alive, how do you deal with that? I don't. I have a breakdown a lot about the fact that my ex is alive, because my ex-boyfriend, who we all know about him, that lovely abusive man, he had a girlfriend when we met, and then he had me during like our relationship, and then he had a girlfriend by the time we'd finished as well. So he had like 3 girlfriends at one time, which was lovely, because I didn't even know. I did not even know. How nice is that? So sometimes I find it really hard. Like, I genuinely struggle knowing that he is out there and he's happy and he's got this girlfriend who thinks he's a good guy, and I'm here like fucking struggling. I struggle so much with like how I see myself in relationships. I struggle with like the idea of ever being in another relationship, with the idea of ever trusting someone again. Like, I don't believe that like someone would want to be with me, because I'm like, oh, they could just find someone better. Like, I don't believe that I'm like worthy, if that makes sense. I know that sounds really fucking cringy, but like, you know, if you've been in a shitty relationship, you know what it's like to like not believe in yourself anymore. Because the girl I was, you know, that picture, that was me in my last relationship. I'm never going to be that girl again. I'm never going to be that naive. I'm never going to be that like innocent again, because now I feel like I'm just this completely different person. And in a way it feels like I was like brainwashed a bit, because I believed that love was like something where, you know, we didn't talk for 7 days at a time because he would just ignore everything I'd said to him. And that's what I was like, oh, he's just busy, and like, I would make excuses for him. So now like my natural reaction with anything is to like make excuses, or to just be like, oh, it's because this, because that, like they're cheating on me, So like, I know how it feels to really struggle with the fact that you know that your ex is out there somewhere like living his life, and especially if it feels like he's got a rebound, that hurts. Like, you can't help it, it hurts. It's hard to know that your boyfriend is out there somewhere, like, well, your ex-boyfriend is out there somewhere living his life, and if he's got a rebound or whatever, it hurts. You can't help it. Like, it's, feelings don't just go overnight. Okay, so to answer it, yes, she probably is a rebound, which that's not me being a cunt, obviously. Like, I can say this because I have completely no idea who the boy is. I have no idea who the new girl is. So like, this is from a completely like impartial third party source, if you will. But like, that I feel like from my own experience, that is what a lot of boys do. They move on quite quickly, because a lot of boys don't deal well with being on their own or being in a relationship. Like, that's just how it is, you know. And like, that's okay if you don't deal well with being single. Lucky for me, I deal really well with being single, because through no fault of my own, I am. It's hard because that other girl probably has no idea that she is a rebound or whatever, so she probably just thinks like, oh, whatever. But like, some boys just are nasty. Obviously not all guys are like that, and like, there are some guys out there who are like super lovely and actually do have the best intentions, but it's just just hard to find them in the pool of cunts there are out there. So honestly, what I say with anything with like in terms of like struggling with exes, you just got to take it one day at a time. That was me. I did like my last boyfriend, I did a shit ton of therapy. Like me and I was gonna say his name then, don't want to do that. Like me and my ex, when we broke up, I was a fucking mess. It was just before lockdown and I was not talking to my mum. I stopped talking to my mum because of my ex-boyfriend, because she hated him. She saw the effect he was having on me, and like she really struggles to talk about it now. And she was like, imagine finding out that someone you love was getting hit. She was like, you see why it's so hard for me to speak about, because I couldn't do anything to help you because I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, well, you know, it's not your fault, because like I didn't know what was going on either. But genuinely, it was just about taking each day as it comes. Like some days were really, really bad and some days were better. Like some days I would drive past the road that I used to go on to go and get him, and I would be physically sick because I felt so like anxious and disgusted. And my therapist was like, it sounds like you've got PTSD. And I was like, babes, at this point I wouldn't be surprised. Add it to the cocktail of mental illnesses I've got. Do you know what I mean? But like every day you just have to take it one day at a time. Some days you might feel like shit and cry your eyes out all day, and that's okay. And some days you might go out and think, oh my god, I'm feeling a bit better, and then the next day you might feel like shit again. But you know what, that's just natural, and you can't be hard on yourself because of it. And you know what, I say that, me when I fucking lie, I'm really hard on myself when I struggle about my ex, because I'm like, it's been 2 years, what do you mean? But like, that boy used to abuse me, so obviously I'm gonna struggle. And even if the relationship was great, you're gonna struggle because you're gonna miss what you had. So yeah, basically my advice is don't be hard on yourself, because it's never gonna be like productive. It's never gonna help you in the long run. You know, even if he has got a rebound, just think about it like that. Think, oh my god, he couldn't fucking live without me, he's gone on to the next. You've got to think of it in a way that will like benefit you. And babes, from your profile picture, you're a fucking sort, so do not let it affect you. Yeah. How to feel confident. Alright, believe it or not, I'm not a very confident person. I might seem it, the way I carry myself, the way I am, but I'm not. On the inside, I'm very self-conscious, very self-aware, very, very anxious. A lot of days, like the other day at work, I sat in the toilet and I cried because I felt fat and ugly. I'm not confident all the time, but in front of other people, especially like new people and stuff, I just have this sort of like front, this like persona, if you will, where I'm like, it's easier to fake confidence than to like walk around actually being myself, if that makes sense. And that's not like, this is how I am. Okay, that sounded really weird. You know, if you meet me in real life and then you watch my videos, I'm the exact same person, but like I'm quite open about the fact that I'm very self-conscious. I get really down because I feel really shit, and like it's natural to compare yourself to people. It's natural, especially like in the fucking age we're in, like with social media, it's fucking hard not to compare yourself to people. But for example, right, here's a good example. For the longest time, and I mean like till very recently, I hated my nose. I hated it. Every single time I looked in the mirror, I was like, I hate my nose. My nose is so big. And like I would compare myself to all these girls that have these tiny little pixie noses, and I was like, I hate my nose. I'm gonna save up for rhinoplasty or whatever it's called. Like I'm gonna get plastic surgery, I'm gonna get a nose job. I hated it. And then one day I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, if I had a small nose, I'd look fucking weird, because I've got a really big face. Like I've got a very round like beach ball face, and I used to hate that. But I was like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna get fucking like fillers or whatever and I'm gonna look like that? Like no, I don't want to do that. This fucking annoyingly, on the days I feel ugly, I'm like, this is what I've been given to deal with. On the days I feel good, I'm like, this is what I've got to deal with. Lay. Do you know what I mean? Again, it's another thing, taking every day as it comes. Feeling confident is a mindset. The same way that I'm like, I choose not to get embarrassed by things. Like if something embarrassing happens to me, I'm like, you know what, I could be embarrassed, but that's a mindset. You know, I can choose to not be embarrassed. And like, you know, the other day I walked into a door in front of a delivery driver and I was like, slay, I've just pulled that off. Did anyone walk into a door looking that good? No. For me now, I'm like, confidence comes from within, and you have to like, in a weird way, you have to believe it. It's sort of like, yeah, like, seeing is believing. I tell myself, I fucking look like I've got a nice nose. I might not always believe it, but I'm not gonna start getting confidence from looking in the mirror and going, you're really fucking ugly. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them things. Again, it's another thing that you have to like, you have to take what you've got. So like, I've not got a small little pixie nose. No, I'm never gonna have a small pixie nose. But you know what? Fucking, who's my biggest inspiration? Who's my biggest fucking idol? Amy Winehouse. Did Amy Winehouse have a small pixie nose? No. Should a nose similar to mine? And I want a small nose? No. It's like, confidence is all about like believing, as fucking cringe as it is, but believing in yourself. I used to hate being tall. I'm 5'10", right? I used to hate being tall. Now I walk past people who are taller than me and I'm like, oh my god, like slay. And I'm like, what? Why would I want to be shorter? No, because I'm slaying being the green giant. No. Genuinely, it's all about like just believing in who you are. And again, like, it's easier said than done. And some days I have really down days where I feel really ugly and I feel really self-conscious and I'm like, I would love to look like anyone else. And then some days I'm like, oh my god, like I look like a boss ass babe. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, I think it's all about like my confidence. A lot of my confidence comes from like things that I add to my appearance. So like my piercings, my tattoos, that adds a lot of confidence. Doing something to my hair. And like also you just have to like, not to be cringe, but you have to own it. Do you know what I mean? Like you have to be like slay. I feel like I didn't explain that very well, but how to be confident, how to feel confident is just carrying yourself. Even if you don't believe it, fucking fake it till you make it. And that is what I do. And now a lot of my confidence is real. It never used to be. And some days I feel like shit and I don't feel very confident at all. But I'm like, this is who I am now. I want to be this confident person. And like, there are still times where I'm like someone said something to me at work the other day and it literally tore me down. But I was like, just pick yourself up, carry on. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get back in the saddle. Do you know what I mean? Shakira said it herself and my hips ain't lying. I got up and I was like, I feel like fucking shit, but I'm not gonna let them know that. Just carry on. And as shit as it is, here I am. I am still standing. I don't know if this is a me thing, but dealing with physical affection after an abusive relationship or assault. Okay. This is something, obviously okay, right, let me fucking collect my thoughts here. Every relationship, every experience with like abuse is different, and like the way you deal with it after is different. So like some people, so I've spoken quite openly, I was in a really abusive relationship. I was R-worded and then I was assaulted by someone that like a family friend, like separate to the relationship. So like there was my relationship which was really abusive and R-worded, and then like last year in December, so it's not even been a year yet, I was assaulted, whatever, in my own room, in my own bed, which is why moving rooms for me was such a big thing, and like getting a new bed and whatever. And ever since those two experiences, I've really struggled, not with like sex and physical touch, I really struggled with like relationships and like connections, if that makes sense. Whereas some people, it'd be the other way around, they'd be fine to get into another relationship but they wouldn't be okay with like the sex and the physical stuff, and that's fine. Like it's all personal, it's all relative, you know, whatever. So I found that like first time I slept with someone after my really bad relationship, it was a one-night stand. It was shit, you know, it was shit sex, but like that's most sex with fucking most men that I've found anyway. And it was hard because I compared it to the last thing I had, which was my really bad relationship, and you know, it does take you back to that sort of time, and it's a bit like, oh, a bit of a touchy subject and whatever, because not everyone you sleep with is going to be the sort of person you want to open up to about it. So it's like, it's hard because you're like, oh my god, like do I tell them that like I'm quite like scared or like I'm quite like apprehensive to like sleep with them or whatever. But genuinely, if you do not feel comfortable, even if the lead up to it is great, if talking to them, if it's a relationship or one night stand, whatever, like someone you meet in a club, it doesn't matter what, if the lead up is great and then it gets to it and you're like, I can't do this, I'm really struggling, do not fucking feel guilty about saying no. Just, it's fucking okay. Like you do not have to do anything you don't want to do, and I hold myself to that now. Like I don't feel guilty about saying no because someone made me feel guilty about saying no and I did it anyway. And you know, it's a whole like, I made a TikTok on it and someone was like, you know, that's rape, and I was like, yeah. And like the whole consent chat, if someone is not making you feel comfortable, or if you don't feel comfortable, even if it's not the other person's fault, if you just don't feel comfortable within yourself, you don't have to do it. And don't, like, I feel like this is like a recurring theme now, don't feel guilty, don't feel bad, don't feel like, don't be hard on yourself, because the more you're like, what the fuck is wrong, because I used to be like that, I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with me, like why can't, and like I struggle, so I don't struggle as much with the physical side of it, but like the mental side of it. Like if I'm talking to someone and I'm like, oh my god, they're cheating on me, oh my god, they're out talking to other girls, da, 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 da. I'll sit there and I'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you, like not everyone is going to be like your ex. But then Grace was like, you can't do that to yourself because you're just making yourself feel worse, you're naturally gonna start questioning it because that's what happened with your last relationship. Don't don't be hard on yourself, because what has happened to you, and I always listen to that sex education quote, what happened to you was not your fault. It has nothing to do with you. The person that's abused you had nothing to do with me, had nothing to do with her. She just wanted someone to love her, and he fucking abused that. He abused the fact that she cared so much about him, and now fucking it's like that person there and this person here, two different people. If I saw him now, fuck my life, it would be on sight, you know what I mean? You don't feel bad, don't be hard on yourself, because what you went through is real, and it's difficult to get through. And you know what, anyone that goes through an abusive relationship, I fucking salute you, because knowing what it's like myself, it is hell in there. It is hard to get through, and like, it doesn't matter how many people you've got supporting you, it doesn't matter how much therapy you do, sometimes you are just like, am I ever gonna get better? Am I ever gonna feel like me again? And you know what, that's okay. You're allowed to feel that way, and you're allowed to struggle with physical affection. You're allowed to struggle with anything. Oh, sorry. You're allowed to struggle, and you're allowed to think, you know what, I don't know what I'm doing. It's okay. So I think dealing with physical affection, if it's a relationship or whatever, like, you put boundaries in place. You know, if you have something that you don't like, that's fine. You can be like, look, I don't like that. If they don't understand, that's a fucking them problem. That's not you. And having not boundaries just in place in like terms of the person that you're gonna like be physical with, but for yourself as well. If you don't want them to do a certain thing to you, you can hold yourself to that. You don't have to fucking let them do it just because it's them, and don't let them talk you into it, anything like that. Just be like, fuck no. Because now I always try, it's hard because I try and find the positives, and it's hard to find a positive in a situation where you're abused, but like, my silver lining is like, I now hold myself to a standard where I'm like, if I don't like something, I'm not gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna let someone just sit there and be like, oh no, and I'm like, fuck no, I've had this before. I've had someone fucking abuse and assault me. I don't need some fucking rando boy to be like, yeah, let me do it. No, you can hold yourself to a standard and just take every day as it comes. If one day it feels right and you want to do it, go for it. But if the next day it feels wrong and you don't want to, and if the other person doesn't understand, bin them off, because you deserve more than that. And I've always said that. How do I stop slaying so hard? I literally couldn't tell you, because I'm like a chronic slayer, so I wouldn't know. Do I meet up with a boy I met in the club, or do I leave club boys in the club? Love you so much, honey buns. Love you too. My gut tells me to leave club boys in the club, but because I'm like, there's a reason they were in the club, but then again, I was in the club, so I literally can't say that. I would say if this boy is someone like you actually see yourself getting on with, or like whatever, go for it. Like, fuck it, why not? Why shouldn't we go out for it? And like, with me, that's what I'm like. If I want to meet up with someone, I'm gonna meet up with someone. I'm quite a spontaneous girl. Do you know, if I want to do something, I'll do it. And I think you should do the same. If you want to meet up with this boy, do it. Like, fuck it, why not? Like, if it doesn't go very well, it doesn't go very well. At least you tried, but you won't know until you try. And if he was good enough to like still be thinking about, fuck it, I just say meet up with him. Because like, what's the worst that can happen? You know, if it's like a little date, cute, whatever, if it doesn't go very well, that's it. Like, you can just be like, look, we tried, that's it. I'm one of them people, I'm just like, oh, you won't know until you try, so you may as well try. Do you know what I mean? Fuck it, why not? I say, yeah, go for it, babes, and let me know how it went. Waiting for an ADHD assessment and struggling. Any advice, please? Yeah, this, turn it up. Yeah, I really struggle because I didn't find out I had ADHD until after I finished school, after I finished college, and I dropped out of uni. So when I needed the support for having ADHD, it wasn't there because they didn't know. Well, they probably did know, but they didn't fucking bother to tell me. I'm joking. I love Cam. I didn't know. So it was only after I needed the support I found out, and now I'm just sort of like, what are they gonna do for me now? Strap me down so that I can watch a film? No. But if you are waiting for an assessment and you're struggling, it's hard, because now I'm just like, what do I do? Like, I don't make myself do anything I can't do. If I can't focus during a film, I won't watch a film. Do you know what I mean? It's no point making yourself go through something that you can't do. I feel like the reoccurring theme is to be easy on yourself, because you're fucking, I saw this really good quote the other day that was like, how your body is your house. Show everyone your hair. You can't see it. Look at that. Yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. If you're struggling, oh, again, you're allowed to struggle. Okay, here's the thing, with something like ADHD where it like actually impacts like your day-to-day life, your like concentration, whatever, you're allowed to reach out. If you're in school, if you're in college, if you're in uni, whatever, and you need help because you're struggling, just be like, look, I'm waiting for my ADHD assessment, I'm really struggling, and like, people will listen. Sometimes it's hard to believe that people listen, but like, people will listen, and like, if you need support, that's all right, you're allowed to reach out, and it's not weak. That's another thing. Reaching out for support is not a weak thing to do. It's a fucking strong thing to do, because admitting that you need help, that takes balls. Do you know what I mean? It's hard, but you're allowed to. And like, there is so much online. I find, you know what, I find so much information and advice on like Instagram or like mental health pages, especially for ADHD, because at first I was like, ADHD, like what? Because growing up, the stigma around it was like, it was just like misbehaving children, and it was like more common in boys than girls. But it's because I found out that girls like suppress it more because they feel like they have to, and they don't like show signs of it, which is why it's so commonly missed in girls. But if you're struggling, letting people know is not weak. It's not anything to be ashamed of. Like, genuinely let someone know. And again, take each day as it comes. If there's a day where like you have something to do but you just cannot focus on it, you can't do it. But this is me with my videos, right? I try and post 3 times a week, and sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna post on a Thursday, and then it will get to Thursday and I haven't edited the vlog, and I'm like, physically I just cannot make myself sit down and do it because I don't have the motivation, I don't have the concentration. I don't make myself do it. I should, but I don't. No, I shouldn't, because that day I might be struggling, and that's fine. So honestly, listen to your body, listen to your mind. Don't make yourself do anything that you're like struggling to do, because in the long run it is not worth it. And that's what you missed on Glee. How to get over a toxic relationship. Turn it up! Toxic relationships. Talking about it helps. I used to do therapy, but you don't have to do therapy to get over a toxic relationship. You can write down how you feel. You can talk to a friend, you can talk to a family member. I don't know, it's up to you obviously, but like, you can talk to me, you can DM me. I will fucking reply. I will reply to every single DM I get, because they make me so emotional, because I feel so grateful that people want to talk to me. It is genuinely beyond me. A toxic relationship, I think the first thing you have to like acknowledge is that it wasn't your fault. It's that you found yourself in a difficult situation, and acknowledging that you're out of it is good. And to get over it, you've got to let yourself grow, because you're going to be a different person now that you're out of it that you were when you were in it. And this is another thing, this is something that I forgot to say earlier, and I genuinely believe this so much. I found I learnt this term from Pretty Little Liars, an unambiguous loss, where you lose someone but no one actually dies. That is how I feel about the person I was in my last relationship. I lost her and I mourned her loss. I didn't die, but a version of me did, if that makes sense. And you need to mourn that person that you were, because that person was abused, brainwashed, manipulated, cheated on, hit, raped, you know, whatever. I had to mourn her because she was gone, and I'm never going to be her again, and I'm never going to let myself get to a point where I feel myself slipping back into the ways of like letting someone do that to me. And like, it wasn't her fault. No, it's not your fault for being in a toxic relationship. It's not your fault for being like whatever, but you have to mourn it. You have to be like, you know what, it happened. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to like accept. Especially, that's what I found hardest. It took me 2 years to realise I was raped, and that was what's hardest. It was like sitting down and being like, someone did that to me. Someone made me feel that small and powerless, and like I had no control over the situation. And sometimes, as fucking hard as it is, and it's shit, it hurt, once you've realised that and acknowledged it, you will feel so much better, because you feel like it's like a weight off your shoulders, like it's like something off your back. It's like you're not carrying that extra baggage around anymore. It'll always be with you. It'll always be with you, and it will always come up, and it will always like be there, but it won't be as hard to deal with. But again, it's another thing. Take every day as it comes. You can't rush healing. You can't rush that. You just can't. It's shit, because sometimes I'm like, you know, I would love to just express FedEx this trauma away, but I physically can't. 2 years I've not been in a relationship, and I'm still dealing with it every day. And you know what, I used to be so much harder on myself, and sometimes I still am, because it's only natural, it's only human. I can tell you not to be hard on yourself, but that doesn't mean I'm not hard on myself. But you're allowed to feel shit. You're allowed to have days where you're like, I'm not getting out of bed today, I'm just gonna watch Arrested Development and swoon over Will Arnett and Jason Bateman. You're allowed to do that. I do it, you can do it, celebrities do it, anyone can do it, because it's normal. So yeah, I hope that helps. I really hope I'm not being fucking useless. How to feel confident as a tall girl. I'm 21 and 5'10" and it's a struggle. Love you. Love you too. I feel the same. I'm turning 21. Oh my god, I'm 21 in 3 weeks. I don't know why I'm actually excited. I hate my birthday. I'm 5'10" and it is a struggle because I'm wondering why every man on earth isn't 6'6". But I always think, I'm always like, oh, I want to be smaller because all my friends are shorter and da-da-da. But then when I walk past a window and I see how long my legs are, I'm like, oh my god, they tried to put me on the cover of Vogue when my legs were too long. I'm like, slay, slay. Being tall is such a good thing. You know, it's such like a, I just think of it as like, you're so powerful, like you have so much leg, you're like a giraffe. It's amazing. And I used to hate being tall, but now I'm like, is everyone intimidated by me? Yeah, as they should be. I bought these, I never used to wear heels, I never used to wear boots, anything. Fuck it now. Bought these wedged flip-flops, I'm like 6 foot in them. I will be finding out what Victoria's Secret is. I'm an angel, babes. Only angel. Being tall is a blessing, and also this is another thing with being tall and also with me having big boobs. 2 things that I never used to like. People were like, someone once said to me, you've got boobs that people pay for, and I was like, thank you, that really helped. And you've got legs that people would kill for. Imagine people that are like 5 foot that just want to be taller. Obviously I used to want to be like 5 foot or like 5'2", but now I'm like, I'm 5'10". That is such a slay serve. I'm serving NBA basketball player and I can't even shoot a hoop. Do you know what I mean? I think being tall is a serve, and it's again a mindset. When you're like, oh my god, then it's good. But yeah, but then again, some days I wake up and I'm like, oh, I want to be 4'11". Just a balance. But I love being tall. Also, in a crowd, people see you, and then when you see other tall people, you're like, you get it. You know how I feel. How to move on from an ex? God, wiki how to move on from an ex. I'm not the best at this. Someone else asked about like moving on from a situationship. Because of like ADHD and also being mentally ill, I hyperfixate on things and I find it really hard to move on from things, even if it was like a fleeting like 3-week thing. But I always try and remember that there is like a bigger plan out there for me. If that didn't work out, there is a reason for it. Like my last relationship, not my last relationship, my abusive one. The one before that, I was with a really fucking lovely guy. My family loved him, my friends loved him, I loved him, and then we broke up because it didn't feel right anymore. And I was like, no, like me and him are meant to be together, but I was like, there's a reason that we didn't work out and there's a reason that it ended. And that's how you have to think of things. There's always a reason for these things. It didn't just end because of whatever. And when people are like, should I get back with my ex? I'm like, no, don't do it, because there's a reason it ended in the first place. So moving on from an ex is just allowing yourself time to grieve the relationship, mourn the person you were, mourn the person they were, because I think that's one of the worst things, is seeing your ex when they've changed after you've broken up. Just let yourself mourn it. Just be like, you know what, you're a different person when you were with me, but that's not on me anymore. And it's just like taking it, like, again, I fucking said it so many times, one day at a time. Some days you're gonna feel great, some days you're gonna feel shit, and that's allowed. Let yourself eat chocolate. Let yourself have a shit diet. Let yourself have a few days in bed. But also, don't let the grief and the mourning and the sadness consume you, because that's never going to be productive. Some days, if you feel like going out, go out. If you feel like spending a shit ton of money, do it. I'm all for that. If you feel like going out shopping, if you feel like going out and getting really drunk, feel like going clubbing, if you want to sleep with 10 people, do it. I am such an advocate for just fucking doing what you want, and I'm sex positive. I'm not a slag, I'm sex positive. Sorry, but I am. If that's what feels good, listen to your body, do what feels right, and if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And that, I feel like, is the best advice I can give. How do you slay so well? Genuinely, maybe she was born with it, maybe it's Maybelline, I don't know. I think it's in my blood. Should I get my belly button pierced? Yes. Self-harm recovery advice. Love you. Love you too. Here we go. This is a bit of a heavy one. I used to self-harm a lot. There was a point in my life when I was like 17. Yeah, 17. My whole arms were covered, and obviously at this point I had no tattoos, they were covered in cuts, like covered, like there was literally no space left blank. Like I was, yeah, it was it was awful, it was bad. And I look back at pictures and I feel so sad for myself, because even though it was only 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, whatever, she obviously didn't know what to do, and that I was in a really good relationship at that time. But at that time I was really like finding out how much I was struggling like as a like internally, and that is another reason why that relationship ended, because I relied on him to make me happy. Whereas I now firmly believe that with a relationship, it has to add something to my life. It can't fill in a gap for me. It has to add something to me, not be part of me, if that makes sense. It's obviously part of you, it's part of who you are. That's so part of who you are, not part of you as my being. It should add something, whatever. Whereas back then, he was part of me. He was like filling this void of making me happy, because nothing else was, and I was really struggling. And yeah, it was bad, and my scars were really bad, because like it was just before, like at the worst part, it was during summer and in the sun. If you know, you know, but like it makes it worse because they're so noticeable. But what I found was that I think the thing I couldn't deal with the most was the judgment that you get, because as much as no one should fucking judge you, and it's disgusting if you do judge someone, you do get judged. I would go somewhere and people would just stare at my arms, and they would look at me and be like, and like it was a fucking shit feeling. I was like, you have no idea what I'm going through, you have no idea why I've done this to myself, you have no idea what's going on. No. And like I stopped for a long time, and then I obviously got into my abusive relationship, and then I started doing it again, and like I had quite a few attempts at my own life, you know, and it was awful, because it felt really like it felt like I took like 1 step forward, 7 steps back. It felt really like not progressive, and it was hard. But this sounds weird, so hear me out. Now, looking back, I wouldn't change it. If I could go back and not have done it, I wouldn't, because it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot about how strong I am as a person now, and I can get through it without caving back into them old habits. Because, you know, old habits die hard, and there were times where I'd just be like, oh yeah, fuck it, like this might make me feel better, and for a split second it would be like, oh God, oh yeah, now I have like cuts to explain to my parents, because they would see them. And like my poor mum, I've put my mum through hell. But you know, on holiday she had to rub aloe vera on my arms, and like how shit is that, seeing your daughter with like cuts all over her arms because she's struggling that much? Like it's just shit. Like, and it changes how you feel about your appearance. It alters how people think of you. Not that you should care what anyone thinks of you, and I didn't care what people thought. If they were staring, fucking good, stare at me, whatever, I don't care. And I didn't care if they thought, oh, like fucking poor girl, you don't know me, you don't know anything I'm going through. And like someone said, how to feel more confident and care less about what people think. Just think, they don't fucking know who you are. They have no idea what you're going through, so you shouldn't care what people think about you, because a lot of people might give you their fucking 2 pence about what they think about you. You're gonna know them for a brief second in the grand scheme of your life. You're gonna know them for like 2 seconds, so it doesn't matter. When I think, oh, I shouldn't wear this because people are gonna stare at me, if I'm going into London, there are fucking furries walking around, no offense, but like, who gives a fuck? Or I get scared about vlogging in public, and then I'm like, you don't know me, you don't know what this is for. This could be for a fucking project, a slay project, you know what I mean? So with the self-harm, I always think of myself now as someone, and this is a bit cringe, but you know, hear me out, I've earned my stripes in a way. I really want a tiger tattoo, because I think it symbolises a lot for me. But like, remember that there was a reason that you did it, and you're allowed to have done it, and you're allowed to get through it. And again, don't be hard on yourself. Don't be like, oh, why the fuck did I do that? Because that's what I was like. Oh, now I've ruined all my progress. No, if that's how you felt in the moment, that's how you felt, and you're allowed to feel that way. Just acknowledging your emotions and acknowledging what you're going through is like genuinely key. And if you do feel like that again, and you feel like, oh my god, like maybe I should go back to it, remember how good it feels to like go a week without doing it, a month without doing it, 3 months without doing it, or even a day without doing it. That's like, because I used to do it every single day, and then if I went a day without doing it, I was like, oh my god, I've gone a day without doing it. And back then I was like, oh, I have to do it again now because I've not done it. Whereas now I'm like, oh my god, I think I've gone over a year. No, I had a bit of a relapse earlier this year in like May, June, July, August. I've gone almost 4 months without anything like that, and that feels fucking great, because 4 months, that's a long time. And you know what? Congratulate yourself. Buy yourself something that you've always wanted. Buy yourself some flowers. Take yourself on a day out. Buy a book. Buy whatever you want, because fucking reward yourself. You deserve it. Also, know that everyone around you is going to be so proud of you. Even if you think no one else is proud of you, I'm fucking proud of you, because I know how shit it is and it's hard, but you're doing yourself proud and you're doing me proud, and I love you. Yeah. Oh, I just spat everywhere. Nice. What do you do when you're in love but fantasize about another person? Ooh, that is a great question. If you're in love but you're fantasizing about someone else, maybe like sit down and think about if you are in love, or if like there's something missing from the relationship you're in or whatever, which is why your like mind is starting to wander a bit. Because like, you're a human, it's only natural, don't beat yourself up about it, because like I fantasize about Chris Evans every night, do you know what I mean? But like, maybe there's part of the relationship that you're missing, or like you feel like something's not the same, or you're missing something out, whatever, and talk to them. You're allowed to do that. Communication is fucking key. Communication is key, and you have to just be open about how you feel. Do you know what I mean? I think that's so important. But I don't know, I feel like I don't have the best advice for that one, but honestly, talk. I think communication solves everything, and if you're open and honest about how you feel, you literally cannot go wrong, and that is the God's honest truth. Take me away, officer. I do not know. No, I do. How to stop being a people pleaser? Just don't care what people think. Don't care what people think. And also, sometimes being selfish is the best thing to do. And that sounds like a cunt thing to say, but you have to sometimes, because otherwise you are literally going to drive yourself insane. Be selfish. Be selfish when you need to be. Be there for people, but also know that you're allowed to be selfish, because sometimes you have to be. Otherwise, if you're always pleasing people, you're never going to get anything back. Do you know what I mean? Quite a few of them were like, how do you keep going in hard times, how to get over a funk, tips for opening up to your family and friends, how to stay content alone. So like, I think tips on opening up: don't do it if you don't feel right, but if it feels right, start by opening up to one person, maybe open up to two, sit down with your friends, say that you're struggling, you know. And also, know that opening up is not a weak thing to do, it's a strong thing to do. Sitting down and being like, hey, by the way, I feel like shit at the moment, that's a very strong thing to do. And you're allowed to struggle, do you know what I mean? You're allowed to be like, fuck, I'm not doing very well. It's allowed. You know, just think as well, like, getting it out there will always feel good. And even if you're like, fuck, maybe I shouldn't say anything, you'll feel better, because you're not going to be alone. You can open up to people and just be like, you don't have to tell them everything, you don't have to tell them every single fucking detail of your life. You can just be like, look, at the moment I feel really anxious, or at the moment I feel really depressed. And that, if they don't understand, first of all, fuck them. Second of all, you know, not everyone it does understand, and sometimes it's hard. Like, when I told my parents, you have to think, like, they've gone when did I open up to them? About when I was like 16 or whatever, like properly. They went 16 years thinking I was fine, and then one day I turned around and I was like, by the way, I want to die. It's like, you're both going through it, and having someone else to go through it with will help. Don't keep everything in. Don't be a whale, because one day you will blow, and it will be it'll be worse. Opening up feels bad, but like, spilling over when you literally can't take anything more is worse. It's like, pick your battles, do you know what I mean? Advice for beating the funk: ride it. Ride the wave. Get your surfboard, get on it and ride the wave, because you literally cannot force it. You cannot get the sky remote and fast forward through the funk. You have to just ride it out, and know that it's natural, know it's normal. All of you were when I was going through my funk, so many people were messaging me saying, you know, don't be hard on yourself. Same goes, don't be hard on yourself, just let yourself feel it. And you know, as shit as it is, you have to just be like, you know what, normal. It's normal, you're allowed to feel shit. And know that, again, no rain, no flowers. The sun will rise and you will be okay. You're gonna be fine, you're gonna get through it. Everything is just like temporary setbacks. I have a little Pinterest board called Hopeful Rat, and it has all my like motivational things on it. And it's like, be kind to yourself. If one day you don't feel like eating anything healthy, which is me every day, don't. Order a Domino's, order a Chinese, order a kebab. Think of me when you're doing it, because I would love all three of them things right now. Just let yourself feel, and write down how you feel. Maybe read a book, go sit in the sun, do what makes you feel good. And then when you get through it, you'll feel good, because you did everything in your control and in your power to try and help yourself, and that's all you can do. How to stay content alone. I love being on my own. I love my own company. I can understand why people find it depressing, but at the end of the day, the only thing that's like certain in life is you, and you will always have yourself. If you don't have anyone else, you have yourself. And like I love spending time on my own. Obviously, don't get me wrong, I love spending time with my friends, and if I spent time on my own all the time, I would be a bit depressed. But like, just let yourself, you know, do things you enjoy, that you enjoy doing with your friends. Like, I enjoy going shopping with my friends. Go do it on your own. Put your headphones in, put on your favourite playlist. Do something that you enjoy doing with other people on your own, because it will get you used to being on your own. I do everything on my own, and to be honest, I fucking love it. And that's okay. You're allowed to spend time on your own. And even if you don't like being on your own, that's alright as well. You don't have to be fine on your own. Just give it a try, and you know, you might surprise yourself. But like I said, even if you're like, oh, this isn't very good, that's fine. You don't have to feel, you know, so we put so much pressure on ourselves, and we shouldn't, because we are only human. And how do you keep going in hard times? I make my vlogs, which is like the main thing, but I remember that good times will come. Good times will come. And you know, I've been through some shitters. You know, my last relationship, I think the hardest thing that I've been through is like when I really struggled after my last relationship without talking to my mum. Because like my mum, if I said to her, you're my best friend, she'd be like, shut up. But my mum is like my best friend, and not having her was hard. We did therapy together, and it was hard, and it brought like a lot of things to the surface. But I remember that like I've got such good people around me. I've got such good friends. My mum and dad are like my fucking rocks. They are the best parents I could ever ask for, and I'm so lucky. I'm so grateful to have such good parents. I remember that like it might hurt now, it might be hard now, but it won't be hard forever. And even if you feel like you have no one else, all of you, all of the rats, you always have me, and that's a promise. You know, things will get better. Nothing lasts forever, especially in terms of emotions, and you will be fine, and you will get through it. And you know, I think that's a good one to end on, because that's all of them. I tried to answer everything, so sorry this video literally might be 40 minutes long, but nothing lasts forever, and you will be okay. And like I always say, no rain, no flowers. So yeah, that is that really. As hard as it is, as shit as life is sometimes, and as hard as it gets, we're all in it together. And you know, I will be there for you when the rain starts to fall, do you know what I mean? But yeah, you're always stronger than you think, do you know what I mean? And it's one of them things. The High School Musical cast said it once, and I've said it again. We're all in this together. Yeah. Agony aunt who? I only know Agony rat.